what he's doing is what has been granted permission for him to do. And there's certain stop and start to all this. And to me, that's created a very uneven and very confusing sequence of information packets that have come out into the public. I don't know, and like I said, I don't know about you, but I'm confused.
Well, I am more than ever. I know that I do feel that there is UFOs. I do feel that people have been abducted and are being abducted. But, I will say, Tom, that virtually every guest, credible guest I've had on, and I'm going to use the word credible, always say the same thing. And James, you know what I'm going to say, is that they're evil.
Evil.
Yeah.
I knew it.
They're evil. They're not here to serve man. And they don't care about humans. And to me, that is important. So is there something going down that the government feels maybe they can't keep covering up for much longer?
Possibly. But the other side of it is we could be in an area of be careful what you ask for, because it's also possible, and I'm not saying that this is the case, I don't know, but it's possible that we're not going to like the truth. It's kind of like, don't ask questions you don't want to hear the answers to. And now, again, we've gotten all of these UFO reports, we've gotten all of these abduction reports, we've gotten all of these abduction stories, and if half of it is true, there are a number of different alien groups visiting this Earth, whether they're interdimensional or extraterrestrial or ultra-terrestrial or whatever their origin is. And they're going to vary. They vary in their appearance. They vary in their demeanor. They vary in the way they go about things. They vary in the way that they leave people feeling. And so based on that, I wouldn't make the claim that all these alleged aliens are evil. Now, there has been a free study done, done of abductee or experiencers and experiencer reports, and their findings were that the initial experiences were negative for the experiencers, but they actually developed into more positive experiences as time went on. So
I don't know.
The information.
Here's the
information that I've gotten, in the literature and in the UFO public is that it's a mixed bag.
Well, here's the thing too. Like last night, again, very credible person. Again, a former assistant attorney general, a lawyer for many, many years, mentioned Stockholm. That people, after they've been involved in a crime or something bad happened, that they kind of go with the person who committed the crime. And it falls even like if people who have been abducted, all of a sudden when they start remembering stuff, they maybe remember what they were implanted, or they kind of lean over for some reason to the person who, or creatures that abducted them. And that's why you got a certain amount of people who say afterwards, well, it wasn't really that bad. But again, it's I don't know. I don't believe half the people that claim they were abducted. I think probably more like maybe 5% of the people, because I do feel there's a lot of people that want to sell books. They want to get their name out there. They want to, make money off of it. I'm sorry to say that. I seen that more than anything about 10 months ago.
Yeah, and that's definitely out there. And one of the things that I've noticed, Gary, is that in this field, there are people that are emotionally upset. And some of them, I'm sure, are emotionally upset because they have been subjected to these abduction experiences. But then the other side of it is there are emotionally upset people that think they've been abducted. And they think they've been abducted because they're emotionally upset. I don't mean to denigrate abductees or experiencers in any way. There have just been far too many stories and reports over a long period of time of these experiences, and we just have to try to do the best that we can to collect the information and analyze it and try to understand it all as best we can.
See, where I go to, I tend to when Timothy Cullen, who had an implant removed from the late Dr. Roger Lear. Now, undoubtedly, there was something it was implanted into him, because when it was analyzed, it came that it had silver compound, it had other compounds, but the compounds were mixed with the silver. There was no way it could be compounded on our planet. And that was from the labs. Now, the guest we had last night, they found an implant in his leg by his knee. Again, no sign of any entry. How did it get there? It's cases like that. I mean, I can go on. Something is going on. Now, I don't believe everybody who, like I said, that comes on and says, I was abducted. Because I can tell them right off the bat which ones are kind of stretching the story and which ones are, telling the truth. And I can tell by their demeanor when you talk to them, and especially if you've had them on the show a couple times, you can. Well, James, you notice that, like Timothy Cullen. And if Timothy's listening, I'm sorry. I'm going to say I can feel it with you when you're on. I can feel the anguish in you, James. Don't you?
Oh, you can feel the anxiety and the probably PTSD big time. You can feel it. You can hear it in their voices, and not just him, but there's a couple others. I won't mention their names, but sometimes they're afraid to even go to bed at night. They sleep during the day. They have a gun and maybe a flashlight beside them. It's this weighs heavy on them big time.
Yeah. So
you bet. I mean, it's a major thing. Even when people just have a very strong, firm UFO sighting, a lot of them are never the same. It changes their life.
Well, yeah, I mentioned the other night, and I mentioned on my show, in the early 70s, around 1974, I went to North Carolina with my wife at that time. Didn't like the job I was at. I worked for a boat company, gel coating, and I was also a part-time police officer for a small town. I did not like it. We moved back. And when we got into New Mexico, they didn't have a type of speed limit like I was used to. It was way above 70 at the time. I had a GTO, so I was cruising fast, and all of a sudden, all around my car lit up, brighter than daylight. Inside the car was brighter than daylight. I figured, okay, it must be a police helicopter. I'm going to get in trouble for going as fast as I was going, which was crazy anyway. I pull off the side of the road, Tom. I get out of the car. The light is killing me. That's how bright it is. My wife in the car is screaming hysterically. I first thing I noticed, I was in the military. I served in Vietnam. I was on enough helicopters. I know what they sound like. Absolutely no sound of a helicopter. In fact, there was no sound of anything. It was void of any sound. It was just totally quiet. And then, poof, it was gone. Now, I honestly was kind of shook up for a while, but I forgot about it. Years go by, and I'm having some medical conditions. I go to the surgeon. He sends me in for MRI or whatever it is, where they put you in the machine. I go back in for my appointment. The first thing is the head nurse comes out, and she goes, "Where did you get that piece of metal embedded up in your upper part of your spine?" I go, I don't have anything. I'm thinking in my mind, okay, well, whatever they have, in the X-rays and from the MIR is wrong. They got me mixed with somebody else. I go sit down with the doctor, Dr. Moran, and he says, "Well, where did you get this?" And I go, "Was it service related?" I go, I got my tailbone damaged, but I didn't have anything else. No strat, no nothing. And he's looking, he goes, "I don't see any scars." And I asked him, can you remove it? And he goes, no, because, scar tissues build up. If I go in there and remove it, you'll probably be in a wheelchair. So I kind of forgot about it. For a few years, I forgot about it. One of my sons gets in trouble, and I'll use a word. I have to go to drug court once a month for a year in Tacoma, Pierce County. Every time I went into the courthouse, I set the alarm off. Okay? It was so bad after a couple months where they would take me in a special room because they figured, what's going on with this guy? Okay, yeah. I didn't associate anything in my mind because, I just was naive. I didn't think anything of it. Again, anytime I'd get on an airplane, a flight, I go through their security device, I set it off. Now, I sometimes, when I really think hard about it, and I've had some weird nightmares through the years since that happened, I kind of sometimes, I'm not going to be one of these nuts and claim I was abducted, but something happened that night myself when I saw that bright light. I never had any surgery. I never got hurt where a piece of metal would be embedded near my spinal cord. Something is weird. That's all I'm saying. So when I get people on my show that talk about implants or weird things that go on, my ears kind of like perk up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Gary, there are so many people with stories similar to that. There are a lot of people that haven't talked about their experiences. They don't want the notoriety. They want to keep their privacy. It's hard to tell how many people are out there with experiences that are similar to yours.
It's scary. And here's the point I mentioned last night with Terry. I said, this has been going on for years of abductions, going on for hundreds of years, probably a couple thousand years where people are being abducted. Now, if there are, even if it is different humanoids coming down or creatures or whatever, they're coming and abducting people, I would think they would have got whatever information they had a long time ago. So why is it still going on unless it's something that is needed that they have to get? And maybe this is why the 30 or to 50,000 people vanish each year in our country with no trace. I don't know. And I'm hoping, when we come back from break, if you ever stumbled on any information on paperwork or anything that can kind of tie any of this, even very loosely, I would like to hear about it. So we'll be back in about 2.5 minutes with Tom and James, who's really quiet as a mouse out there in the background. So, again, check out our website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. Check out our store. Help support the show. We'll be back.